That was the general introduction, but let us go in more depth and try to find out how philosophical schools of thought have emerged and influenced human life. Among those, I will not go in all major trends, but just refer to a few. First one that comes to our mind is materialism. Next please. We use this term quite frequently, but what we mean by is any set of doctrines stressing the primacy of material over other factors in like metaphysics, value theory or historical explanation is called materialism. When we have preference for materialism or matter as substance, while philosophical, conceptual, ethical, aesthetic ideas are given no importance, then we regard it as materialism. In the 19th century, prominent contribution was made by Friedrich Engels, a very close friend of Karl Marx, who hypothesized that dialectical materialism assumes an inevitable process of thesis, antithesis and synthesis. These terms are attributed to Marx, but originally it was Engels who gave these ideas and Marx only formulated them, gave them a shape in his Das Kapital. The idea that Engels gave was that matter or society or people, the way they are living creates a difference, a gap. There are people who are poor, people who are rich, and those who are have nots, deprived. They rebel against those who are rich. This conflict leads to development of a third breed, which is middle class. They are not rich, not poor, but the same phenomena gradually emerges in middle class. Middle class, some of them become more rich, some of them become poor. Again the same process takes place, and this thesis and antithesis or rich and poor, when they clash, they lead to a third breed, and this is a process that goes on till infinity. At the end, there is going to be a society where there will be no poor and no rich. This is in brief the whole process of thinking that Marx and Engels share. In other words, it is material factors that operate in society, and it is materialism that ultimately brings success. This is the summary of all philosophy in a few words, and this has been applied in two well known countries, former Soviet Union and China, and in both places it failed. That is something different, but materialism or Marxist and socialist ideology has been a product of this 19th century development of thought by Engels and Marx. Next please. Another school of thought to which we referred earlier when we talked about Pythagoras is that of hedonism. Hedonism, from the Greek hedon, means delight, enjoyment, pleasure. Its origin as a philosophy can be traced back to Epicurus. It refers to a system of philosophy or human nature whose categories are naturalistic or materialistic. It holds that man always acts from a desire for pleasure. Even when you are torturing someone, you have enjoyment, you have a pleasure of torturing. When you make a sharp comment or when you respond very rudely to a person, in your heart you feel a pleasure. They generalize it and say everything you are doing is just for pleasure. So, whole life becomes pleasure seeking. If I get pleasure in enjoying food, fruit, anything, then I should be free to do that, irrespective of is it harming others or not. Therefore, pleasure seeking becomes ultimate objective, and that again comes to various categories. You draw pleasure by seeing certain things, by eating certain things, by acting with certain things, and so ultimately pleasure or happiness becomes your objective of life. If you have traveled, you will find that in China, in Thailand, in Hong Kong and many places, in their temple they have a statue with very big tummy, and that indicates pleasure and enjoyment. And those gods of theirs, which are made with the stones and very valuable materials, they are being offered fruit by people in China, in Thailand and elsewhere. They are the gods of pleasure. So, life becomes essentially a matter of pleasure. I work hard day and night. So, on weekend I could go to a beach and swim there or boat there or do water skiing, and that is the purpose of life.